Om. 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 Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Krishnaye Vasudevaye Hare Paramatmane Pranata Klesha Nashaye Govindaye Namo Namaha. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiya Mamritat. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to all of you divine souls. Shri Ram ji, Rekha ji, Papa ji, Shankar ji, Roshni ji, and maybe others who will be joining us or who will listen to it later on. आप सबको हमारा कोटि कोटि प्रणाम. Our humble prostrations to the all-pervading Brahman, to our worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda ji Maharaj, to all sages and saints, all the scriptures, and to the divinity in each of you. हमारा साष्टांग दंडवत प्रणाम है ब्रह्मांडीय ईश्वरीय शक्ति को, हमारे गुरुजी परम पूज्य स्वामी ज्योतिर्मयानंद जी महाराज को, सब साधु संतों को, ऋषियों मुनियों को, और आप सब में विद्यमान परमेश्वर को. May God's blessings continue perpetually upon each of us as we walk together on this holy journey towards spirituality, leading us to the gate of enlightenment, mukti, liberation, nirvana, whatever name that suits you, it's all the same, all the same. So may we continue with zest and zeal, like Lord Hanuman, how Lord Hanuman handles all his projects. May we be steadfast on this goal. हम सब का भी भगवान पूर्ण रूप से कल्याण करें. With that, let us ground ourselves. Thank God for this beautiful way to end the week with a satsanga, and then on Sundays we do the satsanga before we start the new week. Bhagavad Gita. Profound scriptures, all grace of our Guru. Whatever we know, whatever we speak, whatever we have learnt is through his grace, through his blessings, and may that continue perpetually for all of us. Let us pray for world peace. Sab jagah shanti ho, sukh ho. May there be happiness, joy. May hunger go away. May joblessness, unemployment, difficulties, but yet world continues in its own way. So we can pray and add a little bit of comfort to whoever we can in our own little way. God doesn't expect us to do big things. He expects us to do small things with lots of love and compassion. So let's have compassion for everybody. Whoever is in pain, may they be pain-free. Nobody likes pain. But yet in this sansar chakra, we have to go through. So with that thought, with that universal prayer, Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, Sarve santu niramaya, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, Ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. May all be happy. May all be disease free. May all see divinity and good in others. And may no one suffer. That is this Sanatana Dharma universal prayer. With that prayer, let us read our Guruji's message for today. Swamiji says, Blessed Self, adorations, Divyatman, Shubh Ashirvad. Be still and feel the overpowering presence of God. शांत हो जाइए और भगवान की शक्ति को महसूस कीजिए. A presence that is supremely enlightening. Just knowing that that energy is radiating inside of us is supremely enlightening. Your sense of individuality dissolves in that presence. There is no I in that feeling. Beautiful, only divine energy. So we don't exist in that bliss. We are automatically a part of it. We merge into it. All the load of life, the burdens of the world are blown away by the wind of divine grace. So when we are struggling, when we are stressed out, when we think there is no hope, all of a sudden this breeze of eternity comes and lifts that load. All the burdens are blown away as if the wind has taken them away. Your spirit soars on the wings of devotion and wisdom to a realm where time cannot enter. हमारी आत्मा, spirit, दो पंखों पर, कौन से पंख? डिवोशन भक्ति और विजडम ज्ञान. सो भक्ति और ज्ञान के पंखों पर वो हमारा आत्मा, स्पिरिट उड़ जाता है और वहां पर समय नहीं आ सकता. टाइम एंड स्पेस आर only illusions that keep us trapped in the world process. In that realm, all your desires are fulfilled. So when there is no time and no space, you are yourself part of that divinity. You merge into that ocean of nectar. Then you assert, Soham, Soham. If you watch your breath carefully, that's what it sounds like. So hum, you breathe in, that's so, breathe out, hum, so hum. That means I am he. You, we are the drop of the same ocean that God has created, ocean of consciousness. So therefore, there is no difference. It's only a microcosm versus macrocosm. He is the macrocosm, we are the microcosm. So our goal therefore is to take that drop and put it back in that ocean. That divine self am I. So we are essentially divine. Sat Chit Anand. So when we know we are Sat Chit Anand, that is God. Existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. उसी को सच्चित आनंद बोलते हैं. सत चित आनंद. Truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. But when we add name and form on top of Satchitananda, it becomes Prapanch. Prapanch means the five. So God is Satchitanand only, period, stopped. But when we add name and form and place and thoughts, all that becomes name and form. And that is this world, this visible world. So when we get out of it, then we are back into Satchitananda. That is what Swamiji is trying to guide us, that each of us, Soham, I am he, but we forget that. So we should remember it. And then Swamiji says, may God bless you. Thine, Swami, Jyotirmayananda. So beautiful blessings from Pujaniya Gurudev. Let me see, looks like some more people have joined us. Sada Shivaji, Parvati ji, and Mark David ji. So very good. All of you Zoom people are so regular and you're always on Zoom. And then there are other people on Facebook. And on Facebook, I can see Priya Thiel ji, Namaste, Yogini ji, blessings to all of you, whoever is here, Roshni ji, of course, and then whoever I have missed. I'm sure many will listen later on. So if I don't take your name, you are in my heart still, very close, because whoever listens to this live satsang, and I know many of you sacrifice at night, even for Shriram ji, it's quite late. I think it's quite late. So if your body doesn't allow, it's perfectly okay to listen when you can. But I for sure greatly appreciate your physical presence, whoever is here, because then we get the energy and I feel as if you are physically with me. So with this beautiful, beautiful blessings of our Pujniya Gurudev, let us chant our small kirtan before we start the satsang for today. And what a profound satsang we are having, Yog Vashisht. Okay, so let us continue our kirtan. जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश पाहि मां श्री गणेश श्री गणेश रक्ष मां शरवण भव पाहि मां कार्तिकेय 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 रक्ष मां जय सरस्वती जय सरस्वती जय सरस्वती पाहि मां श्री सरस्वती श्री सरस्वती रक्ष मां जय गुरु शिव गुरु हरि गुरु राम जगत गुरु परम गुरु सद्गुरु श्याम आदि गुरु अद्वैत गुरु आनंद गुरु ओम चिद गुरु चिद घन गुरु चिन्मय गुरु ओम जगत गुरु ओम गुरु सच्चिदानंदा शंकराचार्य शिवानंद ज्योतिर्मयानंद शंकराचार्य शिवानंद ज्योतिर्मयानंद शंकराचार्य शिवानंद ज्योतिर्मयानंद ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय शिव 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 शिवाय नमः ओम हर 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 नमः शिवाय ओम नमो नारायणाय ओम नमो नारायणाय ओम नमो नारायणाय ओम नमो नारायणाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते रामचंद्राय हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे आंजनेया 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 पाहि मां हनुमंता 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 रक्ष मां ओम शक्ति ओम शक्ति पाहि मां ब्रह्मा शक्ति विष्णु शक्ति शिव शक्ति रक्ष मां आदि शक्ति महाशक्ति पराशक्ति पाहि मां इच्छा शक्ति क्रिया शक्ति ज्ञान शक्ति रक्ष मां गंगा रानी पाहि मां भागीरथी रक्ष मां हरि ओम हरि ओम हरि ओम हरि ओम ओम शांति ओम ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. So let us continue Nirvana Prakarana of the Yoga Vashistha, which is the concluding sections of this holy scripture. And last Friday, we were studying the glory of the scripture of Yoga Vashistha. And before that, we were studying the characteristics of a sage, of these highly enlightened personalities or people who are living their life for God. And we are going to complete this section today, section 103, the glory of Yoga Vashistha, the scripture. All scriptures are elevating, all scriptures take us towards the light and truth, but Yoga Vashistha guides us step by step and takes us out of our comfort zone, clears a lot of the dust that has accumulated over time, and it teaches us how to walk in that direction. What should we do? And by none other than Lord Rama himself. Lord Rama, imagine. That's why it's called Maha Ramayana also, Yoga Vashishta. By his Guruji, he's being guided by Vashishta Muni. So then Vashishta Muni says, how regrettable it is that most people do not even know how their life is being spent day by day and how it comes to a sudden termination. Think about it. So many people are leading their day-to-day life mechanically. They go to work, they come home, they watch some TV, they sleep, they do some entertainment, they do this, that, and that's it. They are thinking they are this body and this is all there is to life. And suddenly one day, the cold hands of Mr. Death show up, and that is it. Our game is over. So the sages are saying, how regrettable is that? You have the opportunity to attain enlightenment and forever terminate the cycles of birth and death. But yet most people continue in the illusion itself. So such people are called mood. Mood means dull-witted. And they are also, Lord Krishna explains the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita also. In many places he will say that. So dull-witted men risk their lives in accomplishing feats of empty valor. So they do so many difficult things, but they will even risk their lives, but for what gain? Nothing. It's all part of this world, and when the body is gone, everything goes with it. But the sage says they are unable to develop discrimination. They don't have the intuitive vision, the discrimination, understanding what can be done with this human body. So they don't develop discrimination, they don't develop dispassion and other spiritual qualities that could bestow upon them the supreme state of liberation. So if they had taken that effort and applied it towards the spiritual journey, they would have had made much great progress. But unfortunately, it is not meant to be for the masses. Most of the masses are like this. That is why this spirituality is such a rare gem, true spirituality. Otherwise, most people only want good things. They want to live on forever. They only want joy, no pain. But as we know, life comes in duality. Day with night, life with death, happiness with unhappiness, and so on. So Men of discrimination, people who have the faculty of good intellect, discriminate, they build their spiritual homes in the realms of transcendence. They know what their real goal is. So they start learning how to go within rather than to go out. How can they allow the degrading spirit of ignorance to kick their heads? Avidya is called ignorance. And what is ignorance? Ignorance is what appears real but is not. For example, your body appears real, but it's constantly changing. So the definition of real is something that stays constant, something that does not change with time and space. And all things around you, whether it's a little seed, it becomes a tree and then eventually it dies, or our human body, which starts from a sperm and an ovum, and then it we are born, and then we get old and we also go away. So everything that is changing is illusory. Illusory meaning it is not real. It seems real, unless you dissect it with discrimination and dispassion. So these people who have vairagya, vairagya means dispassion and discrimination, they learn and they use this body as a tool to attain their goal. The study of this scripture wards off the influence of ignorance. So that is the beauty of this scripture, because it guides us on what to do, what not to do. But we still have to follow it, remember? Otherwise, just listening is not enough. We can all listen, and that is helpful because that is knowledge. Knowledge is potential power. Knowledge, jnana. So jnana is potential power, anubhav is real power. When we take that potential knowledge and we apply it deep into our being and then we experience it, that is power. But otherwise, just knowing and then not doing is not helpful. It cannot take us out of the ditch. So therefore, that experiment, that's science, right? Knowing and then realizing. Otherwise, just knowing isn't good enough. Do not turn your steps to the world process, says Yog Vashisth Muni. Do not turn your steps to the world process. How many people will not turn their steps? Mostly everybody is involved in the world only. So that doesn't mean you don't wake up in the world. Of course you do. You do your duties, you do your daily actions, you do all the activities. But don't become a part of the world. Don't think that that is all your identity. That is you playing a part of a doctor, or you playing a part of an artist, or whatever your jobs are. And then watch this whole thing happening as a drama of your life. You are not that. You are the same person. You may be a brother to somebody, a son of your father, and then an employee of your employer, and then the father of your son. So who are you really? You are all these things, isn't it? And you behave differently with each of these people based on your duty and how you are going to react. So therefore, let your life stream flow towards the ocean of liberation. Internally, we are all spirits. And then we have this little bubble we call the body, with some blood, flesh, bones, and these 5 elements that come together. And that's it. But through this, we can make our life an offering to God and as a stream of devotion. And when we do that, we are all currently, and if or that's why we say all serious aspirants, Otherwise, many people can listen here, there, 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and then that's it. And then what's happening with the politics or what's happening with this. So we are multifaceted to an extent, but in order to be a serious aspirant, nothing should come between you and your God and your satsang and your meditation and your things that are important, which means you find time. That doesn't mean you don't do other things. That means you have to do extra work. Wake up during Brahma Muhurata. If you have to go to work at 8, then wake up at 4:35 and spend those 2 hours by yourself first before you start your day. It all depends on your own initiative, your own hunger. If you are hungry, nobody has to tell you, you will automatically do it. And if you are not hungry, hundreds of gurus will come and talk to you. God himself may come and tell you, please do this. You will still not do it because the habit has formed that way. Therefore, it's an act of great grace of the Guru and God when we feel inspired to do things, when we actually do things, when we make progress. It's all divine grace. So with that thought, we will move on to section 104. This is pure consciousness is the reality behind the world phenomena. See, spirituality is not complex. It's really simple. There is a spirit inside, there is a God outside, there is this body, and the role of this body is to connect the spirit to God. End of discourse, right? Now, whatever scripture you read, whatever you do, we just have to learn to remind ourselves again and again through different shlokas, different Vedas, different Upanishads, Puranas, and then not get lost in just intellectual ocean. We have to understand what is the big picture. Try to learn to separate the forest from the trees. Sometimes we get so addicted to something that we are not progressing anymore. We are just memorizing more and more things, reading more and more. That's not the eventual goal. So the goal is really simple, and therefore there'll be a lot of repetition. In spirituality, there has to be, because like a blacksmith, you see, when he makes a tool, he takes his anvil and he takes a hammer and he keeps on beating the iron this way and that way till it turns red, and then he molds it, and then he starts the next one. That's what a role of us is, to allow our Guru and God to shake us up, to do what is needed, to make us fit instruments to be offered in the divine plan. That is the real essence. So here, Sage Vasistha continued, he says, the 5 elements are illusory modifications of the divine self. See, what are the 5 elements? You all know. Every one of you knows now. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. These 5 things, whether we are in this world or we are in the cosmos or we are in different layers of this whole universe, this whole creation is using these 5 elements in different ways and proportions and forms. So the ratio changes. In some places, there may not be as much air as there is water, and so on, in Mars, Moon, Sun. But all of them are using the same elements. So basically, that is the function of Prakriti, which is Mother Nature, and we call it Maya. Maya. Maya, by definition, means illusion. Illusion is something that appears real but is not real. For example, a mirage is an illusion. It looks real. When you go there, no water. So therefore, without the help of the principle of cosmic illusion, it is impossible to explain how ether will give rise to air, air to the element of fire, fire to water, water to earth, and so on. How can something new arise in an effect that did not exist in the cause? So the cause has to be there to create an effect. We didn't just come here, we weren't born out of nothing. All of us have a lot of history behind us, except God has hidden that because that is not helpful in our evolution. Just one body's pains and troubles are enough to give us a headache. Imagine knowing your 8, 10 births. And what would you accomplish with it anyway? So God has a plan. He knows what is good. So therefore, every moment that we have, we can use it wisely and make good decisions for our mukti, liberation. And if there is nothing in the effect that does not exist in the cause, then how is it possible to differentiate the effect from the cause? See? So therefore, there has to be a cause who will create the effect. A potter will take some mud from the earth, and through that mud he will make different pots. He will make a cup, he will make a saucer, he will make a pan, and then they are all nothing but mud. But yet the utility has changed, isn't it? You will drink tea in a cup and you will eat your food in a plate and so on. So, and then when eventually they break, what happens? Mud turns back into mud. You will no longer be able to drink tea from the cup that broke. So now it's gone back to the elements. So that is what is happening. But there is that's called a material cause and an efficient cause. In Hindi, we call it nimitta and upadan. Upadan karan, nimitta karan, two causes. One who creates and the second is who is created. So like the potter is creating the pot and the pot is being created by the potter. The potter cannot become the pot and the pot cannot become the potter, isn't it? But the beauty of this whole God's magical power, Maya, is that he is the creator as well as the created. He is the material cause as well as the efficient cause. And this is the power of Vedanta. This is why we say God is omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. He can become anything, he can do anything, he can change forms, and so on. Therefore, if he is in everything, he is also in these elements and in every particle, and therefore he his energy radiates and permeates in this world as much as it does in the cosmos and inside of you and me also. That's why we say Soham. We started with Swamiji's message, isn't it? So, in the absence of causation, this world is as illusory as a dream. Again, this is your practical experience. That's why Vedanta and Shruti rely on it so heavily so we can relate to it. Your dream, when you wake up, do you ever argue that your dream was real? Doesn't matter whether you had a nightmare or a very good dream, very pleasant dream. As soon as you wake up, they are both gone. The nightmare is gone and your $100 million lottery you won is also gone in your dream. Nothing comes out, not even a little. So therefore, this present world, take that analogy, extend it further. Just like your dream you don't question, this waking state, the enlightened people don't question, because when they get enlightened, they see it was nothing but a dream, nothing but a show, an illusion, just Maya. So that's why the wise call it Dirgha Swapna, delayed dream. That's it. And what is the remedy of a dream? When you are dreaming, Tulsidas ji says, Swami ji uses this a lot. He says, "Do jo sar sapne kaate koi, bin jage dukh dur na hoi." Meaning, if somebody is chopping off your head in your dream, such a horrible dream, right? Somebody, like you have some assassin after you and he wants to chop off your head. Jo sar sapne kaate koi. So clearly it's a very bad nightmare. And what is the remedy? Do you create a magic knife, a dream knife, or get a dream killer who will kill that killer? What will you do? No matter what you do, the only answer is to wake up. Because while you are dreaming, your nightmare will continue. It will not be over till you wake up. The minute you wake up, you will be very relieved. Isn't it? No more proof is needed. No more, there is no killer, there is no knife, there is no danger, nothing. So, jo sar sapne kaate koi, bin jage dukh dur na hoi. So now extending the same analogy to this world also, we have to wake up from this slumber of the world process. And all the poor saints, God himself comes many times. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Lord Krishna comes, Lord Rama comes, Narsingh avatar comes, Vara avatar comes, so many different incarnations come. But yet this world is like a dog's tail. It will always be curled up. It curls up, then gods come, they straighten it a bit, and then for a little while it's okay, then it curls up again. So while we do all this great, why is there hunger in the world? Why is there poverty? Is there a God? All these questions are asked. But at the end of the day, you see, this has been continuing in every yuga. Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga, all every time perpetually, because this is based on illusion. Actually, there is nothing there. What do you do to a dream? Wake up. Isn't it? So what do you do from this dream? And that's what you and I and all of us are trying to do. All of us, let us add, sincere aspirants, because only we know if we are sincere or we are not sincere. But if we are sincere, we are putting in our effort, then our only effort should be to wake up. Because otherwise, ye sapna chalta rahega, jo sar sapne kaate koi. That's what here he is saying, Vashistha Muni. Just as mountains and cities seem so real in one's dream and yet are formed by illusion, in the same way, all these names and forms arise from avidya, ignorance. Avidya. So this is avidya, is Maya's magic trick. Does a magician ever do really that magic, or is it a trick? Huh? It looks like a trick, but you think it's real. It is a trick actually, isn't it? He's not doing anything, but you are so hypnotized. आप सब लोग इतने प्रभावित हैं कि आपको एकदम सत्य लगता है. And that is what this Maya also is. Maya does such a fantastic job covering, veiling everything that we don't see the real essence. So therefore, it is all happening due to avidya. Avidya meaning the ignorance is so strong that it will take a long time for people to fully be aligned and understand this path. And therefore, we cannot rush it either. Just like you cannot rush a seed to grow into a tree. You cannot rush a pregnant woman to give birth quickly. It will take the time. We have to give it that time. Time and patience is needed. Therefore, continue your sadhana with faith day by day. And if your peace is increasing, if you're finding happiness and joy in your sadhana, that is your proof that you are a sincere aspirant, that you are growing, that God is pleased with you, and that you are attacking ignorance. You have caught hold of the trick. If you know the magic yourself, then the magician cannot fool you, isn't it? So, one should discover the spiritual truths of existence in this manner. That's the way. I am pure consciousness, meaning I am Sat Chit Ananda. Remind yourself that. This world is nothing but pure consciousness. This whole world, not just you and me, but everybody, even the good people, the bad people, the ants, the spiders, anything, even the animate and the inanimate, even the sthavar jangam, we call them, rocks, mountains, rivers, everything. Both the world and I are essentially the immutable rock of divine consciousness. So that's the one common thread behind all the names and forms. It's called Atma, divine consciousness, God's subtle energy, we can call, or whatever that suits us. But at the end of the day, just like you see a garland, in the garland you only see beautiful flowers, or if it's a necklace, then you'll see different beads or whatever. But flower garland, what you don't see is the thread, but it's the thread that's holding the garland together, isn't it? The minute the thread breaks, all the flowers will go here, there, helter skelter. We cannot call it a garland anymore. Much in the same way, God has penetrated into this world in every name and form, and we, just like a thread in a garland, invisible but there, much in the same way, that energy. But then God is using Maya. Maya is ignorance, avidya, and that is the role of sadhaks, serious spiritual aspirants, to focus and to learn and to control it. So one should understand that this world is nothing but pure consciousness. Both the world and I are essentially the immutable rock. The world and you yourself, because you are part of that world, while we are under the influence of ignorance. And when ignorance shatters, breaks away, is gone, then we become Soham, God. See? Both creation and dissolution of the world are illusory. So when we say, how was this world created? Why was this world created? Why do you create your world? Don't you dream when you sleep? Why do you have a dream? That would be asking the same question from you. Why do you dream? I don't know. It just shows up. Much in the same way, Brahma is dreaming, and therefore this cosmic dance is continuing. In his dream, the world is created. On his waking up, pralay. So Brahman alone exists as the eternal negation of the world process. It's his dream, and therefore our questions should be more pointed towards a solution. Asking questions that will put us more into trouble or not solve our questions or not solve our problem should not be asked like this. Did this really happen? Was Rama really born? Did this happen? Why did he do this? Why did he do that? Historical answers will not help you to grow spiritually. So therefore, focus on things that will cleanse your soul, clean up, make you more and more pure. That is what our priority should be. If we are, somebody pushed us into a ditch, right? What should you do? Not a very joyful experience, but now that you are in the ditch, you should ask good questions like, how do I come out? Not who pushed me into the ditch and I will do this and I will do that. Later, first come out. Before, otherwise you will just be in trouble here. So much in the same way, we have to ask the proper questions on, oh God, with your infinite mercy, you have given us a human birth. which 8.4 other million species don't have. You gave it to us, which means we are capable. We somehow pleased you enough to get this body. Now please continue to show your mercy and guide us on this path. And he is already guiding you. That is why we are listening to this satsanga together. What more do we want? Already there. But we have to do our little bit all the time, not get too comfortable, not get too arrogant, or not get too, suddenly thinking, oh, I have reached great heights. That cannot happen. Do you know this world that we live in, Earth, planet Earth, is not even a grain of sand, not even a grain of sand in the cosmos. Think about that for a minute. And then this world that appears so big to us, where would we be? In this big world that we call the oceans and the continents and the cities and the people and the leaders and the country and then us. So therefore, we can never, ever, ever say we know a lot or we have learnt a lot. We are simply picking pebbles on the beach. The diamonds are yet to be found, you see. All this has to happen. And without humility, without compassion, all this becomes waste. If all we are doing with scriptures is to swell up our head and tell people, I've read this, I've read that, I know Ramayana, I know Bhagavad Gita, I know this and that, it is all wasted time and energy. So, good sadhaks are always quiet. Most people don't even know what they have. Just like when you have too much wealth, you don't need to flaunt it, you see. You already know you have it. Now go help people, do whatever you want with it. It's yours. Much in the same way, the spiritual wealth has to be reserved and in a humble way. Next section, 105. Vashistha Muni says, pure consciousness manifests as dream and also as the waking state. So now he is giving us this further knowledge, which we just talked about a while ago, that in the dream, we create a world, isn't it? And then while we are alive, of course, we are seeing this world, but a different world. The two cannot coexist, you see. In the dream world, your waking state is gone. In the waking state, your dream state is gone. You cannot be dreaming and awake at the same time. Simply not possible. We talk about daydreaming, but that's just imagination. That's not dreaming or sleeping or seeing and hearing sounds and images like you really dream and sleep. So Sage Vasistha continued. Just as the soul experiences the world of dream, which is non-different from itself, the self sustains the world process, which is non-different from itself also. Think about it for a minute. In dark, total darkness, you sleep, isn't it? Even your blue lights are all gone, your screens, your cell phones are closed, your computer screens are closed. So now it's total darkness, and there comes light. All of a sudden you see light. Your eyes are closed and you see light. You hear voices, you hear images, you see sounds, and then suddenly the whole scene comes up in front of your eyes. A mountain, a river, a snake, whatever your dream is. Do you ever really ponder upon that? How is it happening? Why is it happening? What's the mystery behind it? And that is what the sages and saints have done for us. They have actually analyzed it. And they're saying it is the light of the self. Because you and I both know, in darkness we cannot see. When you are awake and it's dark, your head will hit on the wall. That's what will happen. We will not know. We can get hurt. We want light. But in darkness, so much light through the dream. So he says, it's non-different. Much and the same light is also working during your waking hours. But since you are not dreaming, since your eyes are open, you think that you are fine. So that is the difference. You are not able to see that light so well in the waking state. Why? Because of all the other monkeys that are dancing inside of you. The mind is awake, intellect is awake, senses are going here, there. You are thinking of your meeting. What are we going to do with the boss today? What projects do we have to complete? So many things. So, what can that poor light do? But when you are sleeping, what is happening? Hmm? We are sleeping. At that time, eyes are closed. We are not listening to anything from the outside. The breath is automatically going in and out at a simple rhythm, and that's it. So, and you are just lying down. Body is non-existent, isn't it? Do you know you exist when you sleep? No. No, no feeling of the body either, isn't it? Now you know it when you wake up, but you don't actually test to see if all your fingers are intact. Did you lose some in the night? Are your toes okay? Why don't you do that? Because you have identified yourself with them. That is yourself, your atma, and you have related it to the body at that holistic level. So this is the mystery of the self, consciousness. When we say the self, consciousness, atma, same things they are. This is different ways to say it. The world of wakefulness is as unreal as the world of dream. This is why all the sages and the wise saints guide us that treat your waking state just like the dream state. Both are modifications of the self through the veil of ignorance. Avidya. Avidya is ignorance. So since avidya is there, so now I'll tell you, let's use an example. I think that may help you understand it better. You take a polythene bag and you go in the ocean, you fill the water in that polythene bag that is actually from the ocean, and now you bring that back, come out of the ocean. Now you have this polythene bag, isn't it? Now it has some water in it, and you'll say, yeah, I got it from the beach. I went there and we collected this water. Great. So what happens now with this water? This water technically is from the ocean, but yet it is not the ocean, isn't it? It's got characteristics of the ocean, but submarines cannot go in your little polythene bag. You cannot have big whales and fishes as you see in an ocean. Big cruise ships cannot be in it, right? So now what happens? You take this polythene bag, go back into the ocean, and you merge it in the ocean. So what's happening now? Is there any difference? No. There is perfect communion inside, isn't it, in the ocean with your bag. The only problem is that you have a thin layer of that polythene bag. The thinner the bag, the thinner the or ml or whatever they call it of that polythene bag, that's how close it is to the ocean. Which means in your sleep state, you are taking that polythene bag and dipping it into the ocean of consciousness. So what are we doing? We are basically, that is why you are finding when you go to deep sleep state, you find so much peace, so much rest, so much joy, and you wake up refreshed. And you don't even know where time went, where space went. See, this is how you actually analyze it. Now, what is happening with that water in that little bag? It's in total communion with the ocean. It has no issue. Suppose you puncture it, something happens, a fish nibbles it. Now what will happen? All that water will go back into the ocean, isn't it? So and that is the journey of all of us, spiritual aspirants, and that is that veil. Think of that veil, that polythene bag that is unbroken, to be the veil of avidya, ignorance. And no matter how thin it is, no matter how delicate it is, as long as it is intact, it is, and it's communing in the ocean, it's blissful in the ocean, it's enjoying. But the minute you pull it out, it's no longer the ocean. So this is why it's called avidya granthi, the knot of ignorance. And unless we pierce it, even if we pierce it a little bit, just a little, the water will ooze out of it. So that is the goal of all of us, to pierce that veil, no matter how little. And that is the difference between dreaming, waking, and deep sleep. I hope this example helped you a little bit, understanding the perception of why is sleep so blissful and why is waking state so distracting. So the realities of the waking world cannot come in your dream state, and vice versa, just like we talked about it. The absolute reality of the self is untouched by the dream and wakeful states of consciousness. So it's this self that is creating the dream, the deep sleep, and the world experience. But yet, nothing is happening to the self itself. उस आत्मा को, उस self को कुछ नहीं होता है. Nothing at all happens to it, because it is the creator of light. Swayam Prakashi, we call it. See, most other sources need a source of light, but this does not. It is itself effulgence. It creates light through its own self. And therefore, it is so mystical. It generates. So there is this shloka that says, Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhati kuto yam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. So this we chant every time, every Yoga Vashisth, when we do our arti together. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam, which means there is no light of the sun or the moon. So what about fire? Fire becomes little when even the sun and the moon cannot. So he says, Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Through that light, the sun gets the light. Through that light of the self, the moon is getting the light, and we are all getting that light. So therefore, it's called Swayam Prakashi, meaning self-generating. The rumbling clouds, rising mountains, cascading waters from mountain crags, all these are unreal and yet appear so real in your dream world. When you are dreaming, you forget about it that you are dreaming till you wake up, or something happens in your dream that makes you wake up. In the same way, all these vivid realities of the world are in fact illusory. Why do we have such a hard time understanding that this world is an illusion when we hardly argue about it in our dream? But the wise, and this is why it becomes so difficult, this journey, for most people to understand and comprehend, because they'll say, oh, I'm seeing a car. Yes, but you are seeing a car in your dream also. But I'm seeing it driving. Well, so much in your dream. Same thing. Well, and your emotions, by the way, are also affected in your dream. You are scared and you are happy, you are joyful and you are frustrated. You go through your emotions just like you do in your living form. In the same way, all these vivid realities of the world are in fact illusory. They are all Maya. But it is hard for somebody, because this journey has been continuing for millions of years. There is no time stamp, there is no date stamp to say, okay, this is when you were born. In theory, you are pure Atma, which means we are timeless. Sanatana Dharma, by definition, means timeless. There is no time and age to Sanatana. Sanatan means timeless. Same thing with your spirit, it is timeless. So, how many bodies have you taken? How many forms have you taken? Timeless, countless. So, that doesn't matter. What matters is that we should be awake now and do something about it. So, just as an awake person is unable to see the world experienced by his sleeping friend, an enlightened sage does not experience the world of those sleeping in the night of ignorance. So think about it. So what Sage Vashistha Muni is trying to guide us, that you are awake and your friend is sleeping. You are watching TV and he's sleeping. Now you go see he's sleeping. Now you cannot enter his world and he cannot enter your world, because you don't know where he is, what his dream looks like, what he is seeing right now, and he doesn't know what you're doing, because you are both in two different world systems. Much in the same way, the sage also, when they are enlightened, that's the difference. They do not experience what the worldly people are experiencing. It's like, because the sage has woken up and the world is sleeping. Does that make sense? Think about that for a minute. Dreaming is like waking, and waking is like dream. Just as waking interrupts a dream interrupts waking, isn't it? You are comfortable, suddenly the dream shows up, and suddenly the dream is interrupted and you are back to the waking state. So these alternate. The idea that the waking state continues to hold a sustained form of reality day to day is wrong. Doesn't work like that. Through the sleep of death, the soul wakes up to another form of reality. So that's the only difference, that our breath is going on, but the eyes are closed, everything else is closed, and we have had a nice dream and a sleep. And when we come back, we wake up, we come back to the same body. And what happens in death? The only difference is that all your senses, mind, intellect, ego, thoughts, processes, everything just goes, and then it manifests in a different body. Just like if your shirt tore, you didn't tear, your shirt tore. So therefore you go buy another one or wear another one that's already in your closet, isn't it? You don't grieve over it. You just say, okay, oops, sorry, it just broke. I mean, it just ripped off or something. So you throw it away. Much in the same way, these bodies are nothing more like these shells or commodities that keep on coming up and keep going on and on. But your Atma, your consciousness, and your astral body that has all your karmas, whatever you have done, your data drive, so to speak. The computer may break, but nothing happened to your data. You see, it's all on the cloud. So you take it with you. Nothing is happening to it, good or bad. If there's garbage in there, you better believe it. You will have to clean up that garbage. And if it's good stuff, then fine, you go enjoy that good stuff. But even then, it these will keep giving you more and more births. Good birth, bad birth, ugly birth, happy birth, but birth, birth, birth. No birth. So if you want no birth, liberation, mukti, then you have to interrupt the flow of the process. The flow of the cycle has to be broken. And the only way to do that is to remember that polythene, to puncture a hole in it. And how do you do it? You do it through your regular effort, through realizing who you are, what your goal is, and then grace of God. Don't ever think that you are a know-it-all or I am a know-it-all. Nobody is. We as humans are, we are nothing, just made up of 5 pieces of these 5 gunas: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and God particle. That's it. But that God particle in us is phenomenal. We call the Atma. That's what can take us from here to eternity, and that is up to us. So, true awakening is the state of Turiya, wherein dream, waking, as well as the vast darkness of sleep are completely transcended. See, waking, dream, deep sleep, and these are the 3 states. Most people fall into these buckets. But sages, saints, enlightened beings, they actually transcend time and space, and they are able to connect with that 4th state, which we call Samadhi, Turiya state. So they are transcended. So with this, we conclude our satsang for today. We will start from section 106 next Friday. It's called The Ether of Consciousness Alone Exists. So these are very deep, profound topics, very deep waters, because we are in the concluding stages of Yoga Vashistha, and Sage Vasistha and Lord Ramachandra, they want that we all should get this nectar of knowledge, and all grace and our gratitude to our Guruji who converted this into this beautiful scripture in English, so all of us can digest it easily and understand it better. Hari Om Tat Sat. So, if there are any questions, you can ask now. Don't hesitate, because the only stupid questions are the ones that we don't ask but have. So if anybody has any questions, you are always welcome. Hari Om Shri Ramji.
Pranam Swamiji, very, very profound discussion. Very beautiful. Lot of many thanks from the bottom of the heart. Couple of questions, Swamiji. One time we speak that Brahman is akarta, doesn't do anything, is Satchidananda. And then we say that Brahman penetrates the life, and Brahman penetrates the Prakriti. And so through Maya. So is that for discussion or understanding purpose, heuristic purpose, that we make this separation, that Brahman who is akarta, but the world is also produced by Brahman? Because there is another vada called ajatavada, that means nothing ever happened. So is it for us, because we have a difficulty understanding that, for practical purpose?
Well, I mean, the way to look at it is, if you look at Sankhya philosophy versus Vedanta and Shruti, so all these are just different ways to kind of give us examples by which we can understand. So, for example, when you are studying astronomy as a scientist, right, your calculations and the study of the moon is a lot different than when you are in kindergarten, right? Or when you are in 1st grade, you will say, okay, Mama, I want the moon. Lord Ramachandra said it too. His mother put the little thali and she put some water, the reflection came in and she said, here is the moon for you. So but at the end of the day, Advait, which is what Yoga Vashistha talks about, non-duality, right? Everything is eventually going into that one supreme consciousness, and therefore everything is Advait. But practically, we have to live in Advait form also, because there is multiplicity. Now, we cannot say that sun is the only entity and it doesn't have rays. It has both. It is the sun and it also has rays. There is a sky and it also has clouds. There is the ocean, it also has waves. So therefore, there is multiplicity in singularity also. But yet, what is the goal? All of us you are a ray, I'm a ray, different people, different rays. But the goal is that as soon as the sun sets, every ray has to go back into the sun. And so therefore, Prakriti is the one that creates the elements, the 5 elements, and Purush, which we call consciousness or Atma or God particle, whatever we want to call it, this is that energy that is not doing anything, mind you, but it simply penetrated into it. There is no world. There is no you and me. There is no cars. There is no things, although it sounds like everything is there, which is what we studied today, isn't it? But it's all like snake on a rope. Hari Om. It's snake on a rope, right? You're looking at the rope, but you are thinking it's a snake and saying, why is the snake appearing like that? Well, it's not there. You are thinking it's a snake. Much in the same way, this whole thing, when the world itself doesn't exist, how can God get into it? Think about it. It's really that, right? It really boils down to that. But you need a needle to take out your thorn. Both are sharp. You need your body to evolve, to go deeper. Does that help?
Yeah, very helpful. One more question I have, Swamiji. You discussed very nicely about the polyethylene bag.
Ji.
So the thin veil, is that, can you say that the polyethylene bag is like avidya or avarana or?
Correct. Correct. In this case, that's what I was trying to get to, so we could all relate to it as a vidya. Because if there was no bag, then there is no problem. It is the ocean. You go merge back right into it. It's due to that bag that we keep coming out and keep going back in. But you need it in your body, isn't it? So for a long time, you will need it till God's grace and our self-effort explode to a point where we are able to transcend it. But yeah, very good question. Anything else? Hari Om. Hari Om, Sadashivaji.
Yes. Hi, Swamiji. I was wondering about Chit and Chaitanya, the existence, consciousness as overall and individual consciousness, and determining the difference between the two. I've been reflecting on it a lot lately. It's hard to put into words, but to try and understand how one afflicts the other. The analogy that works best for me is the rays in the pots of sun.
Yes.
The reflective consciousness as opposed to the consciousness, but how to turn towards that sit, how to turn towards the pure consciousness in contemplation.
Well, it'll just happen. I mean, basically, just what are the facts? The facts are that there is no ray without the sun, right? So when you are looking at it in different pots of water, all it is what is the content in that pot of water? Is it crystal clear? Is it muddy? Is it dirty? Is it filthy? Does it have moss in it? What's the problem? And so yet
how big is the pot? Yes.
And how big is the pot? And eventually what will happen is you will see different, in some pots the sun will be very clearly visible because they're clean and the water is clean, but in some where it's dirty and mucky and bad, the ray wouldn't reflect. It doesn't mean it's not there, it's there, but the contents need to be changed. And therefore, that is the process we call as sadhana, as self-effort, as purification. And that, but in the end, there is no such thing as a good ray and a bad ray. A ray is a ray. It's the same ray. And the content is where the problem is, right? And so what should we do? If you want it to be evaporated, if the water is gone, end of story. There's nothing more. What will the ray reflect? There is no water anymore. So what will it come into? So therefore, that should be the goal. And in the end, just make sure that our bhakti is always alive and well. Bhakti, devotion, because all this intellectual thinking starts to chew our bones. and we get
Mhm.
too deep. When you start doing that, chant a bhajan. That's why we do kirtan. Think of God and say, in there you do duality. You say, God, you know better. It's not that I'm you and you are me. That's fine at that cosmic level of understanding, but we are not there yet. Till we merge into Brahman, we should consider ourselves as dasa. You know that we'll end with this thing. We'll end with this thing that Swamiji always talks about. Once Lord Rama asked Hanuman, he says, "What is your relation with me?" Huh?
Mm.
You must have heard that, but those who have
Yeah.
not, I will repeat. So
Mhm.
then Lord Hanuman gives a beautiful answer. He says, Deha buddhya to daso ham jiva buddhya to danshakaha atma buddhya to maivareva. Which means that, oh Lord, how are you asking me this question? How? So he's kind of countering it back to Lord Rama. He says, if you are asking me how am I related to you at the body level, you are my master, I'm your slave. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. No questions asked, no conditions. I will just do it. And but at the soul, at the jiva level, you are the Paramatma and I am the Atma, which means you are the sun and I am your ray, which means no sun, no ray. There is no thing as a small ray or a big ray. I mean, the ray clearly is there. He says, but I am the ray, you are the sun. And then at that final level, he says, Atma buddhya tvamaivareva, which means at the level of the soul, at the level of supreme cosmic consciousness, there is no difference. I am you, you are me. You see, so we also have to think like that, because when we live in this world, we cannot live in non-duality. We cannot live in Brahman. We have to drive cars. We have to be practical. Otherwise, a wall is a Brahman, a car is a Brahman, and you are Brahman too. So, but practically you have to make sure that everything is holistically managed. Practical realities are good. So you have to manage those at the body level, at the soul level, at the jivatma level. When you do your meditation, you try to connect yourself deeper and deeper to the supreme consciousness. So make your ray go back to the sun, put that effort.
Mhm.
And then finally, when you are at that level where you're communing, it's just try to puncture that polythene bag. When that happens, we are done, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
the goal in our human body that we are here to do. Now, how many of us and how sincerely we do it and with what level of effort we do it, all that is where the sadhana comes in, right?
The mantra and the japa is a big help, a
Yes.
massive help.
Japa is very powerful, because that even
Uh,
can, as you go deeper and
mhm.
deeper, your meditation will start to pick on much better.
Mhm.
So wonderful. Anybody else? Good. I'm glad there were some good questions, and I'm sure everybody benefited from them. So thank you very much, Shri Ramji, Sadashivji. Okay, if nobody else has any questions, then we will do our arti today and thank our Guru and God for this beautiful blessing. And then we'll conclude the satsang and see you on Sunday morning. Okay. जय जय आरती विघ्न विनायक श्री गणेशा। जय जय आरती सुब्रह्मण्य सुब्रह्मण्य कार्तिकेया। जय जय आरती वेणुगोपाला वेणुगोपाला वेणुलोला पाप विदुरा नवनीत चोरा। जय जय आरती वेंकटरमणा वेंकटरमणा संकट हरणा सीतारामा राधे श्यामा। जय जय आरती गौरी मनोहर गौरी मनोहर भवानी शंकर सांबा सदा शिव उमा महेश्वर जय जय आरती राजराजेश्वरी राजराजेश्वरी त्रिपुर सुंदरी महाकाली महालक्ष्मी महासरस्वती महाशक्ति जय जय आरती आंजनेया आंजनेया हनुमंता जय जय आरती दत्तात्रेया दत्तात्रेया त्रिमूर्ति अवतारा जय जय आरती शैनेश्वराया शैनेश्वराया भास्कराया जय जय आरती सद्गुरुनाथा सद्गुरुनाथा शिवानंदा सद्गुरुनाथा ज्योतिर्मयानंदा जय जय आरती विघ्न विनायक न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम नेमा विद्युतो भाति कुतोऽयम् अग्निः तमेव भान्तम् अनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति ओम शांति 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 ओम करचरणकृतं वा कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वा परादं विहितम विहितम वा सर्वमेतत्क्षमस्व जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शंभो समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम ब्रह्मर्पणं ब्रह्महविर् ब्रह्माग्नौ ब्रह्मणाहुतं ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्म कर्म समाधिनः अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राण अपान समायुक्ता पचामन्यं चतुर्विधं हरिः ओम तत्सत् ब्रह्मर्पणमस्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति 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 Hari Om Tat Sat to all of you divine souls, and thank you to all for staying late, those of who are either waking up very early or staying very late for this satsang. May you be blessed abundantly with Shakti, Bhakti, Mukti. Hari Om Tat Sat. We will see you again on Sunday morning. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.